Miami Heat guard Norman Powell spent the last few seasons as a member of the Los Angeles Clippers before he was traded in the offseason in a three-team deal that landed him in South Florida. In a recent interview, Powell shared that the Clippers were talking about doing an extension with him up until he was dealt. He explained that he now feels like a lot of what they said was blown smoke. Since my exit meeting of last season up until I got traded, they were talking about extension, Powell told Essentially Sports. They were saying how much they wanted me there. They were saying how much they valued me and loved me as a Clipper. Now I feel like it was a lot of blown smoke. They were talking about doing an extension. I was going on vacation. They were talking about how they were going to figure it out when we got back around Summer League, when the stuff opened up. I was talking with my agent on what it was going to be. I won't get into that. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that kind of didn't make sense to me. But they were talking extension all the way up until I got traded. Powell was with the Clippers from part of the 2021-22 season all the way through the 2024-25 season, and he had some of his best seasons of his career with the franchise. The veteran guard averaged a career-high 21.8 points per game last season, and he finished fourth in voting for the Sixth Man of the Year award twice in a Clippers uniform. As such, it's understandable if he was hurt by the team's decision to move on from him in the offseason. Now, Powell has a chance to show the Clippers what they are missing, as he's gotten off to a strong start in his Heat tenure. The California native has appeared in 3 games, averaging 24.0 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3.0 assists per game, while shooting 47.7% from the field and 50% from 3. Unfortunately, an injury has knocked Powell out of Miami's last 3 games, including the team's loss to the Los Angeles Lakers on Sunday night. Powell is officially listed as questionable on Monday night against his former team. The Heat, 3-3, are looking to get back over .500 this season with a win over the Clippers, and there's no doubt that Powell would bolster the team's offense if he were to play. Miami has been without All-Star guard Tyler Herro to start the season, leaving a pretty big void in the team's offense. While Powell never ended up getting the extension he expected from the Clippers last offseason, he has a chance to earn one in Miami and become a staple for head coach Erik Spoelstra's squad beyond the 2025-26 season. The LA Clippers can't help but feel a little remorse after seeing Norman Powell stick it to them in a Miami Heat uniform. Finishing with 21 points on the night, Powell helped lead the Heat on the second night of a back-to-back to a big road victory. After missing the last 3 games due to an injury, Powell made his return to the Heat lineup just in time to square off against his former team. The Heat outlasted the Clippers in LA 120-119, with Powell playing an instrumental role for the team. Powell's former team fell to 3-3 on the season, while the Heat snapped a 2-game losing streak, improving to 4-3 as they prepare for another measuring stick game against the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday to close out this West Coast road trip. Clippers should have real regret on their decision to trade Norman Powell. With how Powell has looked so far this season, there's reason to believe that the Clippers could have at least some regret about how they handled the decision to trade him during the summer. Sure, the Clippers may have added John Collins and Bradley Beal thanks to the decision to move off of Powell, but it's hard to completely justify that trade right now. Almost single-handedly, the impact that Powell has made for the Heat has been much greater than how good Beal and Collins have been for the Clippers to start the season. That could certainly change over the course of the rest of the year, but at least for now, it does look like the Heat won that trade. And pretty easily. Without Tyler Herro to start the season, it's hard to describe just how important Powell has been to the Heat. In fact, it's not even just the fact that he's been the team's leading scorer through the first handful of games so far this season. It's much deeper than that. Without Herro, the Heat didn't necessarily have a player they could dump the ball off to when the offense bogs down in the half-court. With Powell on the roster, that all changed. What has to be even more deflating for the Clippers is the realization that Powell is off to an even better start than last season. He's currently on pace to be slightly more productive and more efficient. That's expected to change once Herro returns to the Heat's lineup, but it does seem as if the Clippers let a really good player out of their grasp. And the Heat are certainly benefiting from it. Rumors swirling around Memphis Grizzlies star Morant point to potential trade destinations, and if Miami emerges as his landing spot, it could spell trouble for the Boston Celtics. While the Celtics have no business pursuing Morant themselves, they'd be wise to monitor the situation closely. A Morant-Heat marriage would inject explosive talent into a gritty squad already showing signs of resurgence, a bad development for a Celtics team that could be competing with Miami for a playoff spot down the stretch. Bleacher Report's Eric Pincus recently wrote about a potential Morant to Miami move. Miami has sought a star guard for several years, Pincus wrote, suggesting that the Heat could send Tyler Herro to Memphis for Ja. Morant may not be an immediate fit based on the Heat's current offensive system, but the franchise could take the risk on his elite talent on the hope that their famed work ethic above all else culture offsets any flaws. Herro wouldn't be available immediately for the Grizzlies, as he's expected back later this month from an ankle injury, Pincus added. The 25-year-old guard made his first All-Star appearance last year for Miami, but questions persist about the franchise's devotion to Herro. While he was extension eligible before the start of the season, starting after his $33 million for 2026 to $267, he and the Heat didn't reach a deal. Perhaps he could return to the negotiating table with the Grizzlies in the offseason, Pincus continued. The Grizzlies clear the Morant issue and shed immediate salary. The Heat finish just below their first apron hard cap. If there's any coach in the NBA who could make Morant work in Miami, it's Erik Spoelstra. Ja is still only 26 years old, and success with the Heat could get his career back on track in a huge way. He definitely has the athleticism and playing style to supercharge Miami's pace and space attack. SPO, a master at maximizing guard talent, would deploy Morant in pick-and-rolls with Bam Adebayo, creating lanes for drives and lobs while curbing his turnover tendencies through structured sets. The Heat's culture of accountability might be just what Morant needs to take his game to a new level. For the Celtics, Morant to the Heat would make their playoff outlook grimmer for 2025-26, and if the Ja experiment ended up working in Miami, the bad outcome for Boston could extend into the future. Boston fans should cross their fingers that Morant sorts things out in Memphis, or heads anywhere but Miami.